little bit different. We thought an interactive panel would be a good start. These events, we don't have a huge drive. We don't have a big local, we do a lot of our business by shipping. So we don't get a lot of opportunities to have these face-to-face. So we wanted to take that one level further and kind of escalate that. Why access control, the door control? It's a big focus for us this year. We're seeing an expanding market out there for pretty much every installer, electrical, integrator, automation, security. Everybody's touching door control now. So that's kind of the intent here. So we're going to talk for about 10 minutes. And the hope is that we'll talk long enough to get you guys talking to us and start throwing questions at us. Okay? So don't be hesitant. Unless somebody's literally talking at the moment, put your hand up and we'll grab you. All right? Does that make sense? We're going to do a quick formal or a quick informal invitation. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves a little bit more in detail in a moment. But we've got Mo and Charlie from ASSA Abloy representing quite a few brands for us today, and I'll let them go through that a little bit more in detail. And we've got Peter here today representing Camden. So really a wide scope here. Camden, as you probably know, is the washroom control kits, wave to opens that you see in every restaurant in Ontario. It's building code. It has to be there. So Camden does a lot and expanded on that, but that's a big part of what he'll be talking to today. ASSA Abloy, a little bit more of that higher level access control, multi-residential, commercial. Camden plays in that space as well, but different demographics for a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So the intent, again, is to get you talking. We're going to address some of the most common objections we hear or concerns when doing access control, and hopefully from there it'll spark the conversation. Okay, so let's go around the room real quick. Charlie, if you don't mind, just take a quick moment to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm going to stand because it feels weird.
Thank you.
Two mics.
Yes.
The double-fisted here with the microphones. So hi, I'm Charlie Van Gerven with ASSA Abloy. I have been with ASSA now 2 years, just over 2 years, but I've been in the industry for about 15 to 20. I started off as a licensed carpenter, working on doors, frames, mechanical hardware. Decided that I wanted to play with wires too, started playing around with that, learning it kind of, hit your thumb and learn not to do it again type of approach. Took some formal training in the DHI, which is our industry. I now hold the DHC credential, the door hardware consultant. I've also done ADAM certification, and just overall, just a big doorknob nerd. So I'll pass the mic on. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, my name is Peter Garnham. I'm representing Camden here today, and my company is CG Security Associates. To tell you a little story, I've been in this business for 51 years. And I know. And what I can tell you is that the very first job that I ever sold was an access control system. And in those days, there were no computers. So we had to, this was a system that was high end, and the way in which we actually were able to monitor the whole thing it was almost like playing battleships. Anyone ever played that game where you've got pegs and everything? Well, that's exactly how we looked after all of the cards that were in the general use in the area. So we had to put pins in to allocate use of a card in a certain area. So from that, I've evolved into this, and now I'm involved with bathrooms. So it's a full circle, but it's interesting to see the evolution of this business from something as simple as that to something that can be very complex. So I'll share with you in a little bit a couple of things that I've run into dealing with integrators. Okay.
I guess we're all standing. My name is Momchilo Rajkovic, but please just call me Mo if you would like. That's a lot easier. Actually, the best I ever got was Mochaccino. So as long as I can recognize that you are somewhat vaguely calling out to me, it probably works. I've been in the access control industry for coming close to 6 years now. I stumbled my way into this industry through a temp agency, actually, in which I started at reception, and then at a small access control manufacturer, and then worked my way into sales. And I've been with ASSA Abloy now since April of this year. Really exciting product lines that I'm kind of here to represent today. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but it's honestly such an amazing industry to be in. I know a lot of us here maybe have already dabbled in a lot of these products in the past. We've been part of this industry for a while. Some of us might be a little bit newer, a little bit more keen on learning new things. It's a fantastic place to be. It's the perfect cross sect, I think, between hardware and mechanical components, as well as the combination of the electronic access portion of things. Right? It's a really awesome place to be. So I'm glad that you guys are here and willing to listen to us speak.
Perfect. Thank you. Back and forth. And the final piece I want to talk about is the support you see here, right? Artec, we really try to strive to be a good partner for our installers. Most of you have talked to me directly and most of our people here. So this is just one step further to show the confidence that you can have and go out there and talk and pitch access control. Got full support at the Artec team, including our in-house locking expert we've been training now for, 8 months, I think. So don't be afraid of it. If a customer is interested and you're open to taking it on, pick up the phone and give us a call. This is the support system you got. All right? Perfect. So now I would like to throw in, I don't know between Charlie and Mo, we didn't talk about this, but I just like each company to give. You started a little bit, Peter. Maybe you can do 2 minutes on Camden, just in general, and then I'll throw it to either Charlie or Mo between the two of you. Are you okay to just talk quick about Camden?
Sure.
Most people know the washroom kits. They don't always know it by Camden.
Yeah, so Camden has evolved over time, and its most
Sorry, Peter.
its most significant growth happened during COVID. And during COVID, there was the issues with washrooms and people touching surfaces. And in those days, we did have some touch or a push to open, hit a button, door opens, door closes, and the evolution of that from that very simple operation has ended up with 14 different washroom kits that people can deploy from touch to wave, from hardwired to wireless to kinetic. So lots of different things, and it's all fueled by people I'm looking at today, and your customers. So things get mandated by government, and so Camden has responded to that, and that's why you've seen this growth in the washroom kit area. They've also got numerous locks, door strikes that you have to deploy when you're putting in these bathroom kits. So there's a variety of different strikes that you can utilize. They have one of the newer products that they brought out is a mag lock that can be used for cabinets. So very, very small, and it can be used for jewelry stores. It can be used for beer fridges in convenience stores, and released by the owner or the person who's in the actual store, so that beer can't be stolen. Seems simple, but it was a problem that surfaced, and so Camden is a company that will respond to those types of challenges and come up with solutions. So one of the things that we do is that we do a lot of trainings, and we'll be setting those up with you guys, and we'll invite anybody to come out for a hands-on training related to all things Camden. Okay, so come and see Thomas. There's Thomas over there. Come and see Thomas or myself, and we'll get you on the list.
Perfect. Charlie?
Sure. All right. Well, to follow up, to explain ASSA Abloy, most people probably in this room have heard of ASSA Abloy because we own everything, I think. I'm still establishing some of the companies that we haven't bought yet, and maybe we will buy. But what's really cool is this is the third major manufacturer in this industry that I've got to work for. And we are a massive company that runs like a family business. And that is not the Kool-Aid talking. I genuinely mean that everything we do is focused around the customer and the end user at the end of the day. So we're not just a manufacturer. We're a company that develops, consults, trains, and actually we even have some install folks that will go out, and if you need help on site, they'll go and help you troubleshoot something and get the job done. So again, we're not just a manufacturer. We're kind of a be-all, end-all in this space, and we're ever growing as far as our abilities and obviously the companies that we bring into our big family. So I don't know if you have anything else, Mo, you'd like to add? Or
When I was doing trade shows The only thing I'll add to Charlie's point there, I worked for a small access control manufacturer for the past 5.5 years before this, and every time I went to a trade show and I would look off in the distance and see that giant blue sign there in the corner taking up half of the trade show floor, and I always thought it'd be really nice to stand under that booth. So I'm really happy. Like, it's got that presence, honestly, the brand, and to that end, in regards to running it like a family, I also want to mention, in regards to the acquisitions, obviously, what I do appreciate about what ASSA Abloy does and what we offer is that all of these new products that you see under our umbrella, all of these new companies, we keep the talent there, right? It's a very important component to what made these products successful in the first place prior to their life at ASSA Abloy is the people and the talent, and we retain those, right? So when I get training on a new product, I'm getting trained by folks at the factory level there, okay? So it's a really important thing to note. That's the only thing I really wanted to add on to there.
Great point. Thank you. Perfect. And again, just to touch base on the support, we've got 4 or 5 people from ASSA Abloy today. We've got 2 people from Camden. Honestly, we're an intimate group. We know that. So much appreciated for everybody being here today. All right, let's dive in a little bit more aggressively here. Industries. I'm going to name a couple. Feel free to throw in anybody add or ask about anything else. Washroom control kits is probably the most obvious one for everybody. You see it everywhere you go. If you're doing anything with strikes, operators, washroom kits, you're already doing access control. Great starting point. Housing, property management. Definitely a big focus for us this year is housing, property management, multi-residential level. A lot of multi-res has 8, 9 floors, and then the first floor is commercial. Perfect sweet spot for a lot of what we'll talk about today. Everything from the ground level, 1 door up to that. Okay. Multi-residential, I touched on a little bit. We'll go into the ecosystem later. Commercial is probably the bread and butter for access control going back most of the time. Employee digital audit logs of all who's coming in and out, who's inspecting equipment, that sort of thing. So certainly commercial. And institutional is growing. Schools are much more strict for all the obvious reasons I don't want to talk about in the world today, what happens at schools. Housing authorities and institution, it's definitely getting higher and higher levels of security. You want to be that first person out there talking to them. I can't tell you how many times, I didn't introduce myself for those that don't know me. I'm Jeff Barrett, VP of Sales and Marketing at Artec here. And the number of times we get calls that we refer to installers like yourselves from property management groups, from superintendents that don't have somebody that are reaching out to us because they've had a problem. This is the kind of thing we're trying to give you that information to get in front of them. When they reach out to us, we certainly pass it along to you, but you could be in there talking a huge ecosystem to them. Okay. 1 door systems. Let's talk about that. A lot of people say, I don't want to jump into access control. It's really busy. It's really hard. Daycares is a perfect example that I give. Daycare centers, obviously high level of security has to be there. There has to be a high level of cloud support for that. A lot of people are still against cloud, don't understand that. But that's an easy one to push back on because some administrators, so I go to pick up my niece from daycare, they upload me into the system all remotely. I can go walk up to the door, get in, right? Daycares is a huge one. File rooms, warehouses, 1 door control, right? Huge opportunity to get in there. So that's another one to talk about. So let's dive into the objections, and I think this is where we'll get some engagement from you, and please throw it at us. Most common objections I hear is I don't do access control. And often it's the word access control that is misunderstood. Because when I push it and say, well, why not? You're in this space, you're in this space. Usually I find out that they're doing something. Peter talked about wave to opens, touchless entry, door operators, right? All of that stuff is access control. If you put a strike in, if you put an operator, as I mentioned, that's access control, right? So most of the time, you're probably doing 50 to 80% of a job anyways, even now. So use us, use our support, ASSA Abloy, Peter, any one of us will jump on and do a demonstration for you and or your customer, help you build the system, all right? So if you're in the space and you have the opportunity, please don't say no. Biggest thing I can hopefully walk away from today. This is the one I want to talk about the most. Access control seems very overwhelming. The one thing I hear the most is I don't even know what questions to ask my customer, Jeff. Again, here's your support. Bring me in, bring your account manager in. We can help you qualify the customer. But it doesn't have to be overwhelming at the beginning. When you spec a job and you design a job, you're getting into the nitty gritties. But in the beginning, it's just dialogue. You just want to be involved in the customer conversation so you can help kind of spec it with what direction they go, right? So overwhelming is definitely a big one. I'm going to throw, I don't know, does anyone want to jump in on the overwhelming part? You want to jump in? Sorry for the double mic again.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier about dealing with some integrators in the past.
Sorry, Peter, put the mic up a little higher. A little closer to your mouth.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I normally don't work with a
I know.
mic. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So the working with some integrators in the past, and two situations. First situation, he didn't want to get involved with residential security, and why is that? I don't like having to work and conceal wiring in walls. I don't know how to do it. So he never did residential security. Another integrator, I don't do access control. Why is that? Well, he said, I don't like cutting into door frames. I'm afraid to do that because I'm going to damage it. And if I damage it, I got a real problem. So first thing, don't be afraid to make a decision. That's number one. Number two, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call anyone here
Anyone else? Yeah.
about how to do things. And certainly make sure that you get involved in training sessions. Make sure that you spend time with us. By the way, on the Camden website, there are so many YouTube clips that you can follow. It takes you from point A right to the end, shows you how to do things. Extremely important that you take advantage of that. All of the tech sheets today are so vastly better than anything we ever had. So all I'm going to say is don't be afraid to get involved in this industry, because there's a lot of backup support that you can rely on.
Perfect. Charlie, Mo, did you want to add anything?
Yeah. So I've got a little story. It's actually one just about not even a year ago with a customer of mine down in Windsor, right? And so I've kind of picked on Windsor because it's really far away, right? And so just to show like where the support can go, right? GTA, piece of cake. We have people everywhere to get out and help. Windsor was a challenge. So I had a small contract harbor dealer, and so a contract harbor dealer, for those that don't know, is someone that would supply to a general contractor on new construction projects. This one in particular has typically always been hollow metal. So the frame and the door and hardware if he had to. And that he would literally tell you the same thing. Didn't like to get into it. Hardware was not his thing. Steel was. That's what he wanted to do. And so over the years, he's kind of come around and he's got a little bit more into hardware, right? Not his comfort zone. He's kind of broken that barrier. And then what happened about a year ago was he came to me and he said, Charlie, I have this customer, like great customer. They want me to do all their work. They need some, some fob locks in this 34 unit small condo building. How do we do this? I don't want to do it. I don't like it. Batteries suck. Wires suck. He was terrified of it. And I was like, hey, like I get it, Bill. Like if you want, we can find someone to do it and package with you so that you can, basically essentially have a subcontractor to do it, or we can train you. So we brought down 2 individuals from our office, went down to Windsor, brought all of the product, put it in front of him, and showed him and his customer in the exact same moment. This is what it does. This is what it doesn't do. This is how you manage it. This is the interface. And one day, 4 hours, I think it was 4 hours, and that's including kind of a drawn out lunch, if I'm being honest. They became beginner experts. I'll use that term, because now they're on their 6th building between the end user and that contract harbor dealer. And I've actually asked them sometimes, like, hey, how did you do this? And this is a year ago, right? 2 guys in this little small contract harbor dealer with a local AV guy. Nobody knew what they were doing, and they figured it out. And again, that's where the support is. So, to Peter's point, to Jeff's point, don't be afraid. Just ask. We'll show you. And if you still think it's too much, park it. Pump the brakes. But I almost would guarantee it won't be. So don't be afraid.
Good point.
Let me just add something
please.
to that. Yeah, just to add to that, in terms of getting afraid of getting involved in access control, the average number of doors in that average system is anywhere from 8 to 16 doors. By far, the majority of jobs that you're going to get involved in are anywhere from 1 to 4 doors. So great way to get your feet wet in the access control business, because it's a small footprint that you're probably going to get involved with. So just remember that. You're not looking at the 50, 60, 70, 100, 200 door systems. You're looking at much smaller systems that you're going to run into.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I guess just to add on to really the the picture that's being painted here, I want to throw it back to you guys a little bit more. I know Jeff was mentioning before, there are many different ways, right, to define what access control is. If I was going to ask you guys, like, what is access control, everybody might have like a different answer, right? At the end of the day, if you interact with an entry point, you interact with something to get through that entry, that is access control. So if you've installed something, to Jeff's point earlier with the washrooms maybe, or the wave to open, anything to that nature, right? The important thing to note, I think, in this industry is that we're dealing with security at the end of the day, right? It's a very important thing to remember. And what that means is that the customers that you already have in these other avenues, in these other aspects, right? Maybe you've already installed something like that for their washrooms. That means there's an implicit trust now in you and your capability to offer them security, right? So when we're talking about now expanding that to electronic access control systems, right? And not very many doors, right? To Peter's point as well. There's that relationship that's already built there. That's already right there, right for the taking for you guys, right? I always find a lot of these smaller systems, they're sold on a relationship basis, right? For these small projects. We don't have to go out to tender. We don't have to go bid on anything, right? This is very much, when we're talking like those 1 to 4 doors, this is, hey, I'm tired of rekeying my locks. What can you do about that, right? And maybe in the past, you were like, this is not for me. I can't do this. I don't want to run wire. I don't want to do this, right? I don't want to do that. But if you're already in there doing other stuff, they already trust you. You are that person to take them to that next level, right? So it's just, and again, to Charlie's point as well, it's the support that we're offering you guys, right? To make sure that you're reinforcing that relationship there as well.
Perfect. And one last touch on the support. Anybody that's spoken to me in the past knows I've made this offer more to pretty much everybody. If you're pushing your confidence, reach out to my team. Myself, one of my members can jump on as your expert. They don't need to know we don't work for you. We're just your expert. We can speed up the learning curve. We can bring in the vendors if we need to, if it's at a higher level. Speeds up your sales cycle, makes you look like a bigger expert right from the beginning, and it speeds up the learning curve for you and your customer. So please take advantage of it. I'll happily jump on a call that you've qualified a little bit with your customer. All right. One last thing, if you're not an RTech partner already, make sure you are before you leave today. We get retail leads all the time. Retail leads that we pass to our partners. Great opportunity to jump into something you haven't done before. So if you're looking for access control, we get these small jobs all the time, several a week that pop up. If you're not a member already, get in our system so you'll get some of those installer leads. Great opportunity to bench test and take it to your customers, right? Speed up the learning curve for when you get to that bigger opportunity that's maybe more important to you, right? Peter kind of stole my last objection, and then we're going to start to go a little bit more engaged. The strikes was the key. The number one objection that I get is I do not want to risk a $5,000 mistake if I cut into that frame, into that metal, right? Wrong. So a lot of people will bring in a locksmith to do that piece. That's fine. A lot of installers do that. But don't be afraid. Camden offers some jigs if you buy enough strikes, and there's lots of things we can do to support. So don't be afraid of it, right? So just a quick show of hands. I know a few of you directly, but how many people are not really doing much access control yet and you're looking to expand that? Okay, so we're going in the right direction. I want to make sure before we continue on down here. So is there anybody that has a specific instance they could throw at us for a moment before I jump on to the next couple points? Okay, so networking, last objection. I do not want anything to do with networking a building. I don't want to be responsible for the third floor going down, any of that. Okay, so I'm going to throw this to Charlie and Mo. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. So we're trying not to get too product specific today, let's be honest. We're trying to have a general conversation, but naturally we're going to evolve into a few brand conversations today. But the intent is to talk in general. So ASSA Abloy does have two lines that we'll talk to that really can support a limited or no network solution. All right, so maybe I'll let you guys introduce that real quick. I don't know what the other one's on the chair there. And maybe Centriose.
Yeah. So thanks for that plug. I wasn't going to say any products, but he did. Wow. So if you didn't hear him,
kind of specific.
Yeah. So again, networks are scary, right? Like I get it. I'm scared of them. That's why I love cloud-based access control, right? Then we worry about the network. You don't need to. So there's so many options now, again, from us and from others that allow you to just use our infrastructure to service your customer with access control. Okay, so again, the Centrios product over there is an awesome one. I'm not going to make this a pitch and talk about it over and over again. I will say Centrios 3 more times though before I sit back down. Centrios. But it's a great kind of foot in the door, gateway. I referred to it the other day as like our gateway drug to access control. Centrios is something anyone can really do. And I genuinely mean that anyone can do it, and kind of get you to start understanding even just the common terminology as far as user groups, user credential, access rights, scheduling, just some of these basic terms that are used across all levels and all layers of access control. Start with a product like Centrios. I think that was 3 times, right?
Yeah, that's good.
I promised 3. So anyways, I'll pass it on to Mo.
It's funny that you said that about being scared of networks and stuff. I remember when I was younger, this is kind of what happens, I guess, when you don't have any knowledge, is I would follow. Oh, did I turn it off? Test.
Did it die? Press and hold the power button.
Hello. I'm back. We're live. When I was young, I used to play Warcraft 3. I would have to like do port forwarding to be able to like let other people connect to me. And I remember just doing that all the time back then. And now I look back at that point in my life and I'm like, oh my God, what was I opening our network up to? It's just that kind of stuff that you don't think about. But to further to the point about entry level stuff. So Centrios in particular, I'm here to represent 5 brands. Obviously, that includes Centrios as one of them. That demo unit that you guys see on that table right over there, that nice black escutcheon there with the lock, I had my dad install that. He's 62. He's been a painter his whole life. He's never messed around with locks or anything, and I had him sit down to install that demo unit. And it functions perfectly well. It's fantastic. It does everything it needs to, and that's the same type of install you would see on an actual customer's application, right? So when we're talking about easy, simple, that's it right there. That's a cylindrical lock prep, no wiring or anything like that. That's all. I think that's all the story that it needs, honestly.
Yeah, if I can add one thing to it. I mentioned that project that I got involved in 51 years ago. And back then, setting that system up was plug and pray, because we had no idea how the thing was going to end up. True story. So today it's plug and play, because we're using our smartphones, we're using QR codes, and all of those things are directed to a specific point. So all of that work is done for you. All of that setup, that port forwarding, you don't have to worry about any of that. So that's an important thing to know, that you can rely on your smartphone to guide you through everything.
Perfect. Thank you. Quick show of hands. Who's targeting more commercial versus multi-res? I kind of group commercial and multi-res in the same space in today's world when it comes to access control. Who's targeting commercial versus, say, institutional or multi-res? Anybody? Or are we mostly multi-res? Am I missing? What are you guys doing? A little bit of everything? Yeah? Residential? High-end residential? Single home? High-end standard housing? Okay. So even on a high-end residential, we have people that are coming for pool inspections. We have people that are doing servicing equipment. And we have gate control, right? So there's a lot of options that access control ties in even there. Driveway control that can trigger different things. So much we can do, right? Is anybody targeting the multi-residential space? Or wants to target the multi-residential space? Really, eh? Arguably the biggest growth. I'm not kidding. So again, if you don't remember much from today, those property management companies call us all the time. There are 5 or 6, unless you're involved with the infrastructure consultants from the very beginning of the design phase, it's often piecemeal. Any of you that are doing it now, and unfortunately Justin just left, or he'd be able to speak to it, but often it's an installer for this, it's an installer for this, electrician for this. You guys have the opportunity now to steal a huge chunk of that business. Doesn't matter if you're electrical, doesn't matter if you're an integrator, you can have a bigger piece of that pie. You already have the trusted customer. And I want to talk, again, brand a little bit aside here, but to go on to how Centrios works, and some of these is data by card, it's data by phone. So you don't have to have any network on the building at all necessarily, right? So again, just leave that at that moment there. So you can have a 6 to 8 unit multi-residential and have absolutely no network, have full digital audit and full cloud capabilities, all through the user's smartphone data. And it's minuscule packets of data, right? So nobody's going to notice it. The bigger version of that, the gateway up, as Charlie put it, is some of the bigger systems that might need some basic network connection. But now you can put a smart lock on every entry unit, every condominium, every business on the first floor. You can win that business now. And none of that needs to be networked. Please correct me if I overstep a little bit. None of that piece needs to be networked. There needs to be a choke point. There needs to be an update point that has to have internet on the bigger systems. Everything else, all the condo units, all the businesses, there's no network required. It's all data by card, data by phone. So that's the biggest opportunity. Yeah, please.
You want the network to get remote access to the system. Doors.
It depends on the system, 100%, but it does depend on the application. Maybe more, Charlie. You want to jump on that?
Jump on that one. So I think to answer your question directly, so there is still a network. It's just a cloud network, right? So we've removed the physical doodads on site that you would have to go to in the middle of the night to repair if they went down. That's kind of the idea of the cloud access control. So you still you can go in from your phone, you can go in from your computer, and you can see what's happening, give access, remove access, pull an audit. You can do all of those things still. The difference is instead of physically plugging in via a port on that building, right, into the network, into network switches and wires and cabling going every which way, now it's just all done through the cloud. It's done through the cloud and it's done through data transmissions through your phone or through Wi-Fi networks to your PC. Does that help?
The service guy coming in, just put network on that device. Yes, the system would work if he has, client has
Credential.
Yeah.
But mailman or service guys can download an app.
Yeah.
We want that to be able to make that convenient.
Yeah.
Opening that door.
For sure. Yep. So again, there's so we have another product over on the table called Doorbird. So Doorbird is a front door intercom, right? It works with an app on your phone. So if the homeowner is away, right? Somebody, ding dong, right? They get the page on their phone. They take a look. They have the screen. Hey, look, it's the cleaning guy, right? Can I come in? Hit the button. Yes, they're in. So you still have that network connection. I think the big thing is
Network cable going to that.
absolutely, yeah. It is wired at the door. So I think where we're talking here on the network piece, and again, this is just like what is access control? That's a huge question to unpack, right? But the network is the physical components. So having the servers, having the switches, having all of that on a site, that's the scary part. To me, it's the scary part, anyways. No, it's easy. I'm gonna call you, man.
Yeah.
But
it just
that's
depends on
it.
your skill set, right? Too. Yeah.
Sorry, you got something? Mo?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Here, Mo.
I just wanted to also. I think there's actually like a few different product lines being discussed here, and I think that's what's causing a little bit of maybe like Jeff, I think you were alluding a little bit more maybe to the Accenture stuff there when you were talking about the on-premises with the
I kind of jumped back and forth
offline
a little
locks.
bit on
Yeah,
everybody
so
there,
Centrios, that's going to be the offline. Accenture, we've got that, and then we also do have the Aperio. That's if you have full wireless locks everywhere that are all actually connected, right? So in that sense, we do have that ability. That's where though, and that's what's great about this kind of discussion, these kinds of questions that you're asking, like what if the pool guy wants to come in and do this? That's the kind of qualifying questions that we want to be asking those end users. We want to paint that scenario. We want to ask, what are you expecting out of this system, right? What are you envisioning that you're going to be using day by day? Because in that case, if somebody tells me that, then frankly, I'll tell them, don't buy Centrios, right? I'm not here to sell them. I don't want you guys to go out there and install a product and it's not the right product for what your end user is looking to get out of it. So it's great discussion. Definitely keep that in mind as like a whole picture though, right? Those are the types of questions that we want to be asking end users.
Yeah, I guess the only comment I would make is that a lot of this integration of services is being done by being done by one company, and you're subscribing to that company's services, and so that does everything for you within the structure of the building, whether it's HVAC, whether it's entry, and so on. So there are companies out there that are providing that service to integrate, to automate your entire facility. Larger operations, of course, but that's what's happening. Whereas it was piecemeal with different manufacturers doing their own thing.
Perfect. And again, the intent today isn't to dive too deep. It's just to get you thinking about your customer base so you can ask those kind of questions and take it back and hopefully come back to us with even more educated questions the next time. I do want to touch about the ecosystem because the intent isn't to go too long today unless you guys are asking questions of us. So the ecosystem is the picture that I kind of wanted to paint. And most people that have talked to me about access control, I paint the multi-residential commercial split. I live in Barrie, right? I work from home in Barrie. I look on my balcony. I can everything. What I can see is 10 buildings within eyesight that are 10 stories or less that have commercial on the first ground. Right? They're popping up everywhere. It's a housing problem. So multi-residential is a huge opportunity, and depending on what your customer relationship is, that can be flood sensors, that can be access control, that can be door operators, that can be cameras, intercom systems. Most of that does tie into access. We're just expanding that ecosystem. Imagine that you put in the intercom at the front of the building. A lot of our installers do that piece and nothing else on a multi-res. That's the customers that ultimately I'm starting to speak to a little bit more directly. So if you're doing the intercom and then you have a locksmith doing each individual entry unit, right? You can win that business now. Whether it's networked or whether it's not networked, doesn't matter. You have an opportunity to win that business. I use my example. I go for bike rides. I do a lot of cycling. 2 fobs, 2 keys to go for a bike ride from my condo. In today's world, that's not acceptable. The building's 8 years old, right? So imagine a sticker that goes on your windshield. So when your car drives into the parking garage, triggers the access control, door opens up, added to the digital audit of the entire system. The intercom, the occupancy intercom at the front ties into the access control. The entry locks for the individual units to the commercial applications, all independent, but all tied together, right? Am I oversimplifying or am I okay? Right? So again, we've got the entry locks you can win now, the commercial and the actual residential. The biggest objection I get for the entry locks is, first of all, with the entry locks for these systems, there's no strike, right? So the entry locks, it's already there. You put it in, it's just a lock. If you've changed the lock, you can change this one, right? So you can win that business. You can win the intercom business. You can add so many different pieces that tie in, but the parking garage one is really addictive. I'm not going to lie. When I tell customers that, property management companies, they love it. Digital audit of who's going in and out of their garage. You can't pass the sticker to the next car, right? Everything is audited. So I don't know if you've heard about the phase in condos right now. Again, I'm stuck on multi-res from my world, but there's people going in and breaking into condos now where they walk in through an open door, follow somebody in, they put a dab of glue in each door. They want to see which glue is broken, right? So if somebody's driving and e-bikes have been stolen from my condo from the parking garage, there's so many things that people are working around towards. We need the digital audit. That's something that we can sell to our customers. That's something they can sell to their end users. When my superintendent goes to my condo, I have no idea. No idea. She could be right there right now. With these kinds of systems, you've got a digital audit. You can show your end user. That's something that I would pay for. I would pay a little extra in my monthly fees to have some of these things, to not take 2 fobs and 2 keys, right? So really, really important. And that ecosystem is what we wanted to get across today. So there's one door access control. Daycare, again, I go back to. Just want one simple door, or I've got a gate that goes up and down, whether it's cloud or not, doesn't matter. Really, really simple. But paint the picture to your customer about what the multi-res could look like. Because it doesn't have to be 180 units. My building's 72, right? A lot of what my customers deal with is 6 to 12 units. Lots of solutions in there that are a great jumping point for you, right? Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about so far? I feel like we're pretty kind of following a pretty good pathway, right? So is there a particular customer that anybody has in mind? Is there something that sparked off of this? Or are you just kind of thinking about the multi-res? Anything? How many people are at their max capacity of business? Let's start there. Is everybody here looking to grow? Or okay, so a couple of you, and we spoke a little bit earlier. It's nice to be busy enough to handpick your jobs too, right? So even if you're full now, are you doing everything you want to be doing? Are you doing, you know what I mean? Are you spending 6 months on one project where you're from start to finish control? Are you doing a job here, a job there? Everybody has a different plan of what they want to do for their business. But for me, again, if I've won the trust of that customer, I want to it's a sales guy talking now. I want to maximize that. You trust me now? I'm going to bad word. I'm going to introduce everything that makes sense once I've qualified the customer, right? And we just want to make sure you know all of that. Hopefully, again, when you leave here today, you just have a few things in your mind, a couple customers that maybe you're thinking to ask a couple questions to evolve. But the bottom line is don't say no. If you're open to taking more on, immediately pick up the phone and give us a call. One of us can jump on the call and help you qualify, get you over that hump. Okay? But I would really, really recommend the multi-residential push. I would. Start with a flood sensor, start with a door operator, start with a washroom control kit. All of those things have to be there. The washroom kits are code. Have to be there on that first floor bathroom. Right? So there's a few pain points that you can go into to kind of get your foot in the door. For those that haven't done multi-res, and clearly we haven't, I'm learning the hard way here, the long way, I should say, as to how to get in there. You can't just go in unless you get one piece at a time. As I mentioned, you have to be involved 2 years prior. The property management companies, the consultants, the HVAC engineers, they're the ones that are starting to spec this stuff. We want you and us to be involved from the beginning in some level. That's all I'm asking you to do. You get us involved at that stage, bring us in, right? And as we've said here, when we qualify the customers, maybe it's not the right job for you, but at least you'll know. Nothing makes me happier than a customer that says, I'm so busy, Jeff. And I said, perfect. What are you doing? He said, nothing but this. That's all I want to do. That's all I do. I'm full. Perfect. Right? You're going to be an expert in it. You're going to do what you want to do. You're going to be much happier. Right? So definitely, again, I don't want to ramble too much, but multi-residential access control is something that not a lot of people do. It is one of our biggest growths in the last year, to be honest, which is part of the reason what we're doing today. Okay? I don't have too much more to go. I don't want to ramble too much. Again, it was more meant to be an introduction. Did anybody want? Do you guys want to tie anything in here, Peter?
Sure, why not? If you're looking to grow your business, the time to do it is when you're really busy.
Great point.
Don't wait until things are slow. Start looking when you're really busy. And the last thing I'll say is that you want to let your client know that you enjoy what you're doing. You want to put a smile on your face.
Yep.
Let them see that you're having fun. It's infectious. And that's what you want to link people with. That's the person who wants to business.
What?
Yeah, so I guess kind of closing statements.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So I guess the big thing I want to leave everyone here with, at least from the ASSA side, is we will train you until you are so sick of training. And we will do that with our partners and our tech. We will do that in-house in our place. I heard that there's a reservation about cutting door strikes. We have a door strike cutting class. Like how many did you do last year? Strike cutting. 4 classes, and all it is how to put a strike in a frame. If you're not an expert after a day of doing that, I'm sorry, you can't. Right? However, we also make a strike that's called the no cut strike, so you don't have to cut anything. You just put it in there. So there's options, there's training, there's resources. Use them, right? Literally, that's why they employ me. You stop using us, I'm unemployed. Okay, so selfishly, please reach out. Okay. And the other thing too is that, again, if I'm being selfish, working for a large manufacturer, right, and I'm sure it's the same with companies like Camden. We have forecasts, we have quotes, and we have other great, interesting things we have to do. So if somebody calls and says, "Hey, can you come to site and help me walk through this place and figure out what the customer can use? What's the right solution?" I'm there. Because, like I said in my opening statement, I'm a nerd when it comes to doors and hardware, electronics. I want to learn too. Let's go find out, because there's probably going to be something I'm going to learn about that end user that maybe is a niche to them in that market. Let's find out together. Let's build a solution together. Let's profit together through our partners and give them what they need, instead of just having to say, sorry, no, I don't.
I guess I'm obligated to do my little conclusion speech as well. But
The last person.
I have to dance. Okay. Do a little. No, but seriously, so obviously on the technical side of things, we have fantastic support networks for you guys, but also on the sales side of things too, right? Because I think at the end of the day, a lot of this is like, how are you gonna? It's great to have the product knowledge and everything, but then how are we gonna actually get that out there and get the money in your hands, right? Get you guys actually getting these projects and winning them, right? So that's another component that we're here to support you guys on as well, to make sure that we get those qualifying questions. So feel free to reach out to us at any time, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to illuminate here and try to kind of get to the bottom of is there's a lot of unknown unknowns, right? There's a lot of variables to this, and if you don't know what you don't know, right, that's not going to help you start up. So we're here, I think we're illuminating. We're trying to make it so that we have some known unknowns, right? So we can at least know that there's stuff out there. We might not know and grasp every component of it and every piece of it, right? But at least now we're at that stepping stone, right? We're working our way up there.
Yeah. And on that note, let's be clear, there's still a learning curve, right? We know that. Our team is taking extensive training. We have the support. We're training a locking expert in-house. But again, it's just a starting point. Most of the systems, as you guys eloquently put earlier, are not complicated. Most of them are pretty simple, in fact. So don't be afraid, right? But again, we've got the expertise. We're learning every day. Our staff, we were doing weekly trainings with ASSA for a while there to try and get up to speed to get to this point, right? So there is a learning curve, but it's not complicated. And use us. We will speed the curve up. We'll almost eliminate the curve, to be honest, between the group of everybody here. All right, this isn't our entire access collection, obviously, of support. As you know, we have other brands back there. Please go and take a look. But definitely, these ones kind of mesh together without being too much of a conflict either. So it was a nice, sweet spot for us. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's the first time we've done this. It wasn't perfect, but I think it was a good launching spot. I really like to do this. I appreciate the conversations with me beforehand. I changed a lot of my agenda actually from talking to about 5 or 6 of you as well. So much appreciated. And hopefully in the next time we'll do a few more of these. All right. Is there any follow-up questions from anybody? Good? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So, there will be some trainings upcoming. Please, I believe almost everybody that I'm looking at is an RTech Pro. Take a look at the website. We're starting to do the webinars. If you've been on with me, I host quite a few. Almost every 2 weeks, roughly, we're averaging right now. So please keep an eye on the event schedule. Those are online, so quick and easy. Even if you can't attend live, register and you'll get the recording after the fact. All right. Thank you, everybody, for not only attending this, but thank you for supporting us. Canadian-owned and operated business. We certainly appreciate the partnerships that we have. So much appreciated. Thanks, everybody.